So here we are at the beginning of the 755 year, and the first turn of 1755 is going to be just like 1754 in terms of all the stuff happening. First thing that happens, though, is this Albany unit goes into the unraised units. The French aren't going to be able to get their militia back, and of course the Indians don't come back either. So that puts kind of a limit. The French want to win this thing early if they can, because they may have trouble at least conducting, raising the kind of troops that they need to win the war once they start getting depleted. Whereas these English losses, none of them count really. Okay, now because it is the same kind of thing, I have to set up the French ships again. And the big question is, do I try to slip my troop convoy in at Louisburg again? I get the +1, and it may be the only real chance I have of getting it in, but here's the problem. If I play that, it's almost a certain that an English naval squadron is going to hit Louisburg. So then, I could put a naval squadron, a French naval squadron at Louisburg, and get a slight advantage in the battle there. So that's kind of the decision making there. Now for the English, well, the hope is that the troop convoys maybe pair up or something like that if it's anywhere else for the French, because they're not going to get their troop convoy in if they're facing one of these naval squadrons, and there's a couple of them. The appointments and supplies, oddly enough, doesn't have a number on it. I assumed it was a 0, but I'm not. I think it's supposed to have a 1 on it, actually, that simply didn't make it onto the counter. So I'll try to remember that. That made it through for the English last time, so I don't think it matters. I think I'm going to just draw that 1 in, because that's intended. So we got that drawn in. It doesn't look too bad. Now, what I think I'm going to do here, in this case, is I'm going to basically, I don't think it's worth putting the privateer here, but I'm basically going to go 50-50 on these. That's my thinking at this point as the French. And the naval squadron is going to go up here. And then the other is, well, they're all really just pure random. And we'll do that. Okay, now for the English thinking, well, the English aren't aware of the French thinking on the matter, but, they're aware of the situation. They know they beat the troop convoy before. I'm sorry, the troop convoy before. But this time, well, the worry is, of course, if I'm facing a 3, I want a 3 up there to have the best chance of stopping it, I guess. There's nothing I really want to, I don't want this or this not to make it in, but this not making it in isn't that bad a shape. So kind of the no matter what, I think the best option is to put my Navy squadron there. And everything else really is just random. I mean, we're really just playing Rochambeau here. I meant to look up when he was in Canada. I think this is his era. I'm trying to remember if he was a little earlier than this. Oh well. Okay. So now we do the quick matchup, and we got the French and the English. The French have a +1 because they control Louisburg, and they win the battle here. So the English squadron is driven back. And then we do the same with all these others. The French have the advantage with the privateer, and they win the naval battle. Well, this one's probably doomed. That's my troop convoy. Oops. Yeah, that's not making it, which is a pity. I could really use regulars. Regulars are the I mean, I got more regulars than I think I can get on the board. And here, it looks like the French are going to lose that as well. Okay, so I got to worry about the English stuff coming over, as well as the French. Hey, I get a couple of regulars for that. The Naval Squadron gets me some. And the English are going to get a couple of regulars. And I don't really have to worry about the regiments. They're all the same. Okay, the English troop convoy is going to give me 5 regulars. That's not terribly good. And the privateer, well, that gives me a chance to suck a lot of Indians out of here, or muster some French militia that I wouldn't normally be able to get. That depends kind of on where I'm going to be fighting, right? If I'm going to be fighting in the woods, I want the Indians. If not, I want the militia. Well, I have to make that decision now because I believe, see, this is what's weird. Yeah, I believe I get my reinforcements during this sort of player turn side of things. Problem is I don't have Albany. My victory conditions, I have to have Albany and New York, Boston, or Philadelphia. Albany is going to be tough to take because there are troops there now. A circled white spot is determined by transport line though, and Albany's going to be woods. I have a couple of units here. These guys can move here, pick them up, move here. The problem though is, of course, my other force, I'm thinking of actually starting here at Fort Duquesne. In order to march down to take Philadelphia. Because that actually looks like my more possible route. And I can knock out some of these forts. Now I have 2 turns in a row before I have to worry about winter, which is helpful here. I don't think you can actually win it as easily on the first turn. So this might be enough to take this. Let's take a look at Philadelphia. Philadelphia's city, circled red spot. That's going to be fighting in fort terrain no matter what. I guess unless I burn the fort down. I'm not sure. I really don't know. And transport doesn't really give me an option there. Ah, there it is. Burn marker, destroyed fort or town. I don't know why. Okay, so what can I get as a force down there to attack the fort? You know, the problem is militia isn't terribly good at this, any better than my Indians are. But I could gather a large Indian force to attack the fort here. Of course, they're not going to be as good on defense, are they? Yeah, they're fine at defense. So yeah, I think what we're going to do is follow this. At any friendly point or points within original French holdings. So we're going to take Courrier de Bois here. Am I missing one? Yeah, I've lost one. And 1, 2, 3. I don't know if I want to take them all from back here. we'll gather these. Into Kesney. And we're also able to do this militia mustering thing. That happens after rolling, or yeah, that happens after rolling, I guess. So let's look at what our roll is. Our roll is a 5-3. I can do a militia muster. The problem with the militia muster is it has to be in home territory again. Original holdings still in friendly hands. Militia units return home at the end of every year. I don't have a lot of militia movement here, so let's take a look at what we're looking at. If I gather, it looks like this would be the closest. I could do 1. Waterway gives me 2 for 1. I think I can get these guys into Albany as well. So, since I got some regulars here, we're going to gather these forces up here on Lake Champlain. And there is something very interesting about the way this all works. Okay, so movement of regulars and militia by waterway or road is doubled. So that's going to be 1, 2, and then the third is going to be to push us in here. And I'm done with those. Now I've got to worry about moving my forces. Now, these guys, I don't know what they're doing here. They probably had to go home. These guys are no longer controlled. These guys, I think, had to go home. I don't think I could have brought them the way I wanted to. So I'm going to move these natives here. And these are pretty easy. 1, that's by Riverway. I've actually only spent a half. 1.5. I'm going to burn the fort. I don't think forts really help me here. 1.5. That kills one of these. We're up to 2. 3. Let's burn another fort. 4. And we're in Philadelphia. I've got one more move. I'll move these Coureurs de Bois into the attack on Albany. Now, to win, is it the end of a year or the end of a turn? It's beginning the turn holding both of them. So if I take these, well, 2 things will happen. 1, I'll win 2 battles, and the Iroquois will be on my side. And 2, the British will have to try to evict me from at least one of those locations. Start things off, let's do the battle for Philadelphia. I got to be careful here because there are reinforcements available nearby. I got a ton of Indians coming in against the militia. Now, those Indians and the Coureurs de Bois are all at -1 attacking the fort. That means they need to roll a 7. That's not going to work, so they're going to pass on their first fire to move up. But the defending fort is just militia and not regulars. They don't have any bonuses either. I'm going to shoot Indians because I'm worried about losing this more than I am about trying to kill off Coureurs de Bois. And I don't get a hit. These have all swarmed forward. However, I'm allowed to pull some troops from Baltimore into play. And at this point, we have to kind of create columns that are attacking. And now I believe it's just roll-offs for 6s. These guys aren't particularly effective like they were in the woods. I'm gonna need more dice. Gonna have to start resending dice into games, I think. I've got too many dice in my bag. I got a bunch of dice that I don't like at all. Probably fish them out. Okay, so we'll do the first side here. Wow. I gotta keep these out. If the French happen to win this battle, the Indians might go home with their scalps. Okay, and that does not. And now I can pull another one in. Now here's the danger. If I pull everybody in here, it's gonna be really hard to retake. And I don't think my odds are very good. So maybe I want to retreat, but then I'm giving up the fort. I think it's easiest for me to throw things in and try to hurt the French as badly as I can. So we'll do another round. And as you can see, you know, with nobody hitting or whatever, there's not much, there's not that big an advantage to giving the defender a first fire each round. If I did that. Alright, well, obviously we can see I'm going to be rolling dice for a while. I'd rather not do that on camera. It's boring enough by myself. Okay, so I netted 2 casualties on the Brits. That means I have to send 2 of these Indians home. I've won the battle. What do I want to send home? What do I not want to send home is kind of the question here. Looks like 16 and 11 are closest. I'm not sure what the hell it means to be activated or deactivated. This guy was activated. And when I look at the Indian rules, they return there and remain still activated. So I guess I can move them without I'm not sure the Indians were supposed to return home. I had somebody, I don't know who, that was kicking around down here that I could have brought in. Indians cannot be mustered if a supply line cannot be traced. Yeah, I think I've got another Indian somewhere. I'm gonna just grab this guy from back here because I think it was someone in the back and move them into the Albany as well. I don't think the Indians don't seem to go home otherwise. And the ones that do go home stay face up, activated, which means I can move them if I wish, but they've got to find a coureur de bois or else at the end of their move or something. Or something. I mean, you know, it's just really not clear what's up here. Already activated units may be gathered up by a courier passing through with no marked expenditure. Okay, so that's the difference. I don't have to spend a point to activate them, but I do need a courier to move them. They're not going to come back to the battle without somebody telling them to do so. Okay, so the French have taken this, and I have a bunch of engines with me here. I've taken Philadelphia. That's half of what they need. The other half is going to be here in Albany. And I think we decided Albany is going to be woods, which is not good for the Brits. God, I love these rolls. Okay, so it's a circled white spot. It's only determined by transport. The transport is only water and green. So yes, it's going to be in the woods here. And these are our special units that are going to hit on a 5 or a 6. I'm probably going to need another color of dye to use for them. So like here I'll be using a red, 2 white, and I'll find something else. Probably a green for the Indians here. My green dye eluded me. It dropped down lower in the bag, so I grabbed a blue one. So this is going to be 2 French militia. The blue dye will hit on a 5 or a 6, and the English, of course, hit on a 6. And it looks like we got 1 hit on the English. And then here, I hope this is a decent dye. It looks, I don't know, it looks okay, but. Okay, so that's first round of combat here at Albany. I'm at a big disadvantage in Albany, but if I give it up, I lose the Iroquois forever. I wish I hadn't spent all my movement points. Well, I can't fortify after a battle. I gotta think about the English. Do they want to retreat or do they want to throw another unit in here? If I throw another unit in, there's only one place where I can fight, basically. I'm gonna concentrate all my troops on either Philadelphia or Albany. Albany's the easier to retake. However, if I retreat, I lose the Iroquois. If I get lucky and win, I don't lose them. And now, of course, the French have to apportion troops to cover that. I'm just going to apportion that one. I'm going to leave massive firepower against this to help protect the Indian in some ways. So, again, going down the line. The English get a hit. They're going to shoot up the Coureur de Bois. Might as well. Those things are too good. And the English get another hit. We're doing pretty well here at this point. I can't reapportion now. Everybody's kind of locked in, I guess. We're going to take out the natives. And we're going to probably be at this for a while, so I'll come back with the report. It's just, you know, it's the ridiculous part of the game. And Hannibal, I think, had the same kind of problem. It's an interesting game with a really annoying combat system built in, where you fight these multiple rounds and nobody wants to retreat. A lot of games, a lot of simpler side games have this. To me, it's a tremendous mechanical burden on the game that makes it really, you know, easier to explain the roles, but really lousy to play. And the French stayed to the last man, or the English stayed to the last man, and now they're wiped out. Albany fell. We've got the Iroquois in play. What's up with them? They get free extra marches and a muster. I don't know what that means. A free muster. A free muster. A muster to me seems to mean that they gather together. So I guess that's what it's supposed to be, is they can gather them all together at the beginning of a turn to move. Yeah, I don't know. Iroquois do not go home after victory, so they kind of work as a real force. Now there's less desire to win battles, and it's just win the game. At this point, the English have to decide what they're going to go after and how they're going to get there. I've got some forces coming in, a bunch of regulars. I think probably my best chance is at the fort. Regulars attacking a fort are a +1. I could raise that up to +2 with the assault, but I'm already better than they are. So I will probably be able to take Philadelphia back. Okay, the first thing I gotta do is the English muster, and I've swept a bunch of troops together here at New York. I'm gonna actually call the Philadelphia militia there too. I'm allowed 4 militia. That gives me a numerical superiority in attacking Albany. At the same time, I'm gonna drop my Navy here in Baltimore. All my troops. Because these are better. There. Now let me look at the reinforcements. These appear to go only to a single port each. I might want to dispatch an extra unit here, but I don't want to dispatch 2, so the entire regular force is landing here. Now I get to roll 2 dice. The red die will be my sea lift capability. Okay, I've got some sea lift. I don't really need it though. I think I'm going to shift it up here. I don't know if that cost me 1 or 2. I don't really want to look it up. Now I only have 3 movement though. 1 is out of Baltimore into here. 2 is up to here. I'm not really terribly interested in the third one, although I got Halifax and Port Royal. I can't really be easily invaded. So I'm going to gather things up here for next turn, sending my regulars forward out of Nova Scotia. I think the French are in trouble. They made their gambit, and, well, the English have so many reinforcements coming in. But we'll see. Maybe they'll hold out. Most important is, of course, Philadelphia, because it is a fort. That gives me some advantages. I'll put a little marker to remind me. And we'll be rolling lots and lots of dice. The big hard question is, my regulars are all at +1. The natives are just at normal. But if I take a turn of free fire, I can move up and fire as though I'm in the clear terrain at +2. I think I'm good with +1 with the number of dice I'm getting. So that's what I'm going to do here. So let's roll a few of these and see what we get. These guys are all back. +1's enough to hit once there. I got some additional units. Send 1 here. I'd really like to kill the Coureur de Bois, but we'll try to overwhelm that force and roll some more. And the question, of course, is, you know, did I want to retreat with the French? Nah, I have a chance of winning the game here if I get lucky on both these battles. I don't want to give it up. But now, well, I got a chance at killing a regular. That's probably the best I can do. I'm probably dead no matter what. So let's do that. Three, yeah. I got like 4 more dice coming. There goes the last of the Coureur de Bois. Now, this doesn't change the Iroquois, though. The Iroquois are pro-French in this game, and they are going to be a problem for the English no matter what. The English troops recover, and they have taken Philadelphia. It's very, very difficult, I think, for the French to win by their automatic victory conditions. So, should I even have tried? I don't know. It's hard not to. Over here, we're going to be in the woods, but it's not going to be impressive that we're in the woods. Everybody's just going to be blundering around on 6s. Is this as important a battle anymore? Not really. The French may want to withdraw, but they can't do it from the first round. they have to take one round of combat first. And then after that, of course, then they're taking, you know, free hits on them as they leave. All right, I'm gonna pull out with the French. I see little or no reason to fight here. I have a disadvantage overall. The only reason not to do so is the off chance that, you know, the English will kill a unit. The only unit they can kill is here where they've got 2 dice, and they need 2 6s to win that fight. And they do not get that. So the French pull out of there. And now the English have won another fight. And I think that is... well, that's the end of the French attempts to win the game automatically, I'm guessing. Now they have to start playing defensively, but at the very least they have the Iroquois on their side. That'll help a good deal. And those don't require coureur de bois. And now what are we at? Promotion, I forgot about that. Probably was a French unit. These guys won a battle. There should be a French promotion here. I want a coureur de bois. I have the choice of coureur de bois or French regular militia, the troops of the Marine. And this should have happened already. This should have happened back in the French turn. I should have been a stronger force. For the English, I'll get rid of the Portsmouth one. And you know, I've got plenty of stuff that can work perfectly well in good terrain now. I've got a huge force of regulars. I need some rangers because there's just hordes of Indians and I'm going to have to start wiping them out. And that'll put us to the second half of 1755, which is going to be a somewhat different turn. We're not going to have the naval actions and such like that, if I remember not to use them. So here we walk into the second half of the 1755 turn, and we skip most of this. We do the rolling for movement, but we don't do musters. That's actually specified as the first turn of a year for movement. Again, the rules are not as well designed as they could be. So, since the French go first, we're going to roll their movement, I guess, first. And again, the red will be for the Indians. And their other irregulars. So they're going to have 4 of each. Now, I don't know quite what to do with the French. I'm going to have to start thinking a little harder with them because I'm not going to be able to win the automatic victory. So now my goal is to play this out, trying to keep Montreal, Quebec, Louisbourg, Frontenac, and Duquesne out of their hands. Duquesne's back here. So, and kind of on its own. Whereas Frontenac, Montreal, Quebec, Louisbourg. Got another one in there? No. So the rest are all kind of in the east side of the map. So I'm probably going to try to put most of my focus to defending that. And with the Iroquois, that's going to be a little bit more, I think, successful than it would be with, you know, with them on the English side. As far as I can tell, the free muster for the Iroquois happens right now. And they only get 1 per game. And, also looking at the possibility of probably building a fort up here on Lake George, or maybe pulling all the way back to Ticonderoga to build one. Kind of a weird space. It has writing on both directions, as if it's owned by both. But I'm seeing my primary points. I need to defend this and over. So I'm going to want a force of Iroquois in place, and I'm going to gather them all here. here. One of the ideas being to burn down Oswego. That seems like a good move to me at this point. I might want to get rid of all the forts because they're kind of a pain in the ass. But that's my freebie. Now I get a free 2 movement points with them. And I'll take the water up here to Oswego and burn it. Okay, so that's doesn't come off of my Indian points because in Coeur de Bois because they are I've got 2 free points to move my Iroquois. I can also use the regular Indian points for them. Now I only spent a half a movement there, so I could actually slip back down, I think. Say to Stanwick. There are restrictions to how deep I can go along the green trails for the regulars, so I've got to kind of pay attention to that. I'm going to go look those up and see if this is the wise move. So the main problem there is, I think, the end of turn supply. I actually didn't bother looking it up. I have grown kind of uncaring about such things more and more. I've still got 1 point. I've moved here and built a fort, and I still got my Coeur de Bois. So I'll move 1, 2, activate this for 3. I'm sorry, 1, 2 to activate. I'm going to move down here for a 3rd move. Now the problem here is I have to worry about covering the Great Lakes, which is why I'm here at Fort Stanwick, but I also have to worry about covering a possible advance this way from Albany. So I'm going to take, say 3 of these and shift them up here. And I don't have a whole lot else I can move. These guys who are activated I can't do anything with. I'm just looking at the board and saying there's not much I want to do at this point with the French, so I'm going to bail with them. I haven't done any battles. These are kind of nice because they're supporting each other, so presumably they can reinforce. I'm not positive of that for the simple fact I just wanted to make sure that I could do it with Indians because they might be more restricted in doing that, but it appears I can pull Indians into play. So that's going to be my stance, and I'm really looking at a very defensive positioning. These English regulars aren't terribly useful in the woods. They're as good as my militia, so I'm going to probably be trying to shift them to where I can fight on a frontal basis. So like here at the fort, if they want to take the fort as their defensive terrain as opposed to the woods, and they do, we'll launch our attack probably coming out of Nova Scotia. Alternatively, we might just hit Louisbourg. There isn't a whole hell of a lot there, and if we can take that, we cut off one of the advantages that the French have in terms of naval supply. They have that bonus as long as they hold that. The important thing in terms of all that's going to be my seafaring roll, the red die for me. So let's take a look. Oh, we get a big one. Wow. Not a lot in terms of actual ground movement. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend my ground unit point to build myself a fortress here in Albany. It's important towards the victory. And then I'm going to worry about my sea movement, which we of course have to actually look at. Wait, French sea left. I forgot about that. But where's the English sea left? Here it is. Okay, so any destination costs 1 to get to. So if I sail here for 1, 2, I can pick everything up. Doesn't seem to be a limitation on how many units I can carry. And 3, we're going to sail up to Louisbourg. Try to take it. And now here, we can fight our first round on the water. And what's kind of nice, that first landing round, the French get first fire, and the English get nothing coming back. So, well, I still got to pick on particular units, so let's shoot up a couple of these. I think this looks very bad for the French. I just don't have the manpower to face all that. We're going to hit one of them. And now we get to withdraw to our fort. And here are the English. Will land all sorts of troops. And we know what's going to happen here. We're not up against the fort. I'm probably not going to pause that. Hitting on a 5 or a 6 is good enough for me. These guys are also considered regulars, so they'll also hit on a 5 or a 6. I think I may have screwed that up with some of the colonial regulars and not treated them as regulars at all. The Great Louisburg Fortress has fallen fairly easily. You can see that kind of high-risk plan I went with the French, that may be costing here because now I'm not set up to defend the French territory very well. Because now I can make another naval move to Quebec. I don't have to cut through the land where there's real dangers. So the French are going to really have to worry about a certain degree of pulling back, I think. Now this Quebec unit, like I say, it's that Bijon unit that I'm missing right now, I guess. But Saint-Jean has to go home. Oh, first we check the overall. Yeah, see, now I'm losing my units that built this fort at Ticonderoga, and it's going to be weakened because I don't have anything I can put there. But I have to check my supply status, and my supply status goes back along the riverway to here, and then back up to here, and I'm fine there. I don't have to worry about the Iroquois. These guys have supply through the waterway. Rogers Rangers and Stack have supply this way. We're not in trouble here. But now we do have to send troops home to wherever they came from. Remember, they can gather again, and I'm assuming because this is upside down, there's a reason that I can ship French troops there. So the Saint-Jean and Montreal troops can actually run back down there, even though it looks like, even though it looks like they're not able to. And likewise, I could pull units out of these locations, even though they're not able to move immediately. So the French always get kind of the first swing at things. These guys are all regulars. They're all fine. Here it's fine. I think we're done with another year. And we go to 1756. And I'm going to load this one up again. Probably try to go in a little less detail for the rest of the game. Obviously, it's the strategic and operational side of the game that's at all interesting. The tactical, whatever there is on these little battle mats, is just an annoyance from my point of view at best. It doesn't proceed rapidly enough in terms of casualties to really make a lot of sense. And also, it seems to represent these all-out, stand-up, drag-out fights that are completely ahistorical. So, you know, you could say, well, the forces kind of disintegrate afterwards, but that's not what it feels like. It feels like I'm just having this huge battle that is very slow to resolve, but not very historically accurate as to the battles of the era. Now, if you abstract that away and say, well, you know, they're indicating multiple engagements, there may be a big battle, but there's also maneuver and stuff that's all being counted in that, and the forces are disintegrating rather than falling apart, dying. And maybe that's believable. It's a little harder to believe, though, when you've got militia actually dying and not being able to be rebuilt. I've also got the question of where do I want my next militia to come from. I think Johnston Hall is a good choice. Beef this force up a little bit. One unit. Remember, though, I can muster and gather there. I don't have anything from Albany there. Johnston Hall is at least along my way, and I can move forward and challenge the Indians if need be. I'm not sure how much I need that. All right, let's send this one up.